Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons and Polar Craft Boats, the Forward Corporation, Primal Tree Stands, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, Brenton USA Hunting Rifles, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. Welcome to the month of December. Well, if October is Rocktober and November is Rutvember, what is December? Got to think about that one. Is it grind-ember? By grind, I mean you're grinding it out. You're still out there in the tree stand, out there in the blind, still trying to put a deer down. And I'll ask you the question everybody asks me. Did you get your deer? Because, you know, the firearm season is over now, right? The official 15-day Michigan firearm deer season is over. Did you get your deer? I didn't yet. Christmas coming up fast now, right? Wonderful time of year. Advent, the Christmas season. A lot of things to do with last end of the year stuff at work. A lot of parties. Getting together with friends. Getting together with your family to celebrate. It kind of wants to cut in the way of our outdoor passions and pursuits. But there's still a lot of time, right? For one thing, even though the firearm deer season is over, it really ain't over. Not anymore. Coming up here after the break, Lieutenant Jason Wicklund of the DNR will be along with us to talk more about the details on this. But it used to be when firearm deer season closed, then you had the muzzleloader season, the black powder season. And it used to be just that, kind of a traditional season. And then the inline muzzleloaders came along, which changed the game a little bit because they had more accuracy, more reliability, and more distance. You could reach out a little farther. But now, these days, because the DNR wants us to kill more deer, they have extreme liberal seasons. And the muzzleloader season, in effect, isn't really a muzzleloader season in parts of the state at least. Lieutenant Wicklund will have details on that. But where I live, I can hunt with my 350 Legend, my Brenton 350 Legend. At least that's my understanding. And Lieutenant Wicklund will either agree or set me straight on that. But I can hunt the muzzleloader season with my 350 Legend. And then after that, I can hunt the late doe season with my 350 Legend. So it's basically, what, a month-long firearm deer season now, at least in parts of the state? And I'm going to do whatever I can to fully take advantage of those opportunities. Because I'll be honest with you, I haven't had a deer in front of me yet this season that has presented me a shot. Not an adult deer. I'm not even going to say a mature deer, right? Because I hate this term. Well, he's a mature buck. Oh, listen, along that line, I had what I think was a very, very interesting conversation recently with David Blanton of Realtree. You know David. He's an icon in the outdoor industry. He's been involved in their TV show for 30 years. I had that conversation as part of the Primal Tree Stands podcast. If you go to primaltreestands.com, you can hear that conversation. David and I talk about this whole concept of how outdoor TV hunting shows have created unrealistic expectations for the average hunter. And David agrees. And he says he has changed his focus from shooting only true, mature trophy animals to a respectable mature animal. Now, for him, a respectable mature animal is bigger than you and I will ever shoot. But I find it interesting that a guy in his position of his status, with his experience and respect in the industry, says yes. The outdoor hunting shows have maybe not been the best influence, these are my words, not his, on everyday deer hunters. It might give us something to shoot for, pun intended, but it really does, they really don't create a realistic picture of what you and I are going to see when we go out into the Michigan whitetail woods. Anyway, keep a listen out for that. If you are tough enough and if the weather allows, and again, Torregrossa talked about this temperature roller coaster, this weather roller coaster we were going to be on, and he was right. As we are sitting in the studio to record the show right now, low 30s, 30-mile-an-hour winds, gale warnings for Saginaw Bay. You wouldn't want to be out there. But the weekend forecast, at least when you hear this show, calls for much warmer. So if the weather will allow, there is some great fishing going on right now, too. Of course, steelhead, our Michigan steelhead rivers offer great fishing right on through the entire winter. If you're tough enough and the rivers stay open, you can get out there and fish all winter long. And there's nothing cooler than being out on a steelhead stream when there's a foot of snow on the bank, but you've got open water and you're fishing for steelhead. That is so cool. Walleye fishing is just crazy right now. Lake Erie, of course, is on fire. Saginaw Bay on fire. Saginaw Bay, my home body of water. That's where I love to fish walleye. But I'm really jealous of the folks who are still out there right now. And it's my own fault. I could be out there too, but I'm not. The Angler Quest is gone. It's been put away for a long time. I spend the entire summer out there on Saginaw Bay chasing walleye that are 15 to 18 inches, and I'm just as happy as could be about it. I love it. But the folks who are out there right now are chasing fish that are 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds. What a change that is. Now, you got to be tough, right? The water temps are low. The air temp is low. You got to be careful going out there because you don't want to have you don't want to end up in the water when it's like this, right? But the rivers, too. Now, I used to be a river rat. I used to spend my entire fall chasing walleye in the rivers. I wasn't deer hunting at the time, so every chance I had, I was on the Saginaw River or the Tittabawassee River, drifting the river, jigging for walleye. And they're in there right now, too. And even though I really don't have a river boat, there are places you can get access to the river and catch those fish from shore. Been thinking real seriously about that. With the success I'm having deer hunting, I'd be better off to go down to the river and throw some twister tails. So I know I might be getting back into that. What else is going on? This Wednesday coming up, Wednesday, December 7th, it'll be our last Wednesday Night Live in person at Dixie Dave's restaurant. Now, why is it our last? Because wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner is retiring after, 50 years 60 years, probably 55 years in the restaurant business. And Oscar and Joey's, his restaurant in Birch Run, is going to be closing down. It's being sold. There's not another restaurant coming in there. So this is one last final celebration of Dixie Dave's career and a big blowout party one last time. You can be a part of it. We will sell out. As I'm sitting here right now, we still have some openings. I think as you hear the radio show this weekend, we will still have some openings as well. How do you be a part of it? Call for reservations. I don't like giving out phone numbers, but I'm going to do it anyway. 989-624-9349. 989-624-9349. If you didn't get that, just do a Google search on Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse in Birch Run. The phone number is there. It doesn't cost you to get in, but you will need reservations. 989-624-9349. The Wednesday Night Live will start at 7 o'clock, as all of my Wednesday Night Lives do. I would encourage you to make your reservations for 6:15-ish, 6:30-ish at the latest. There's no cost to be a part of it, but you will have to buy your own dinner. I'm not buying dinner for a whole restaurant full of people. But you'll get a chance to see Dixie Dave. You'll get a chance to try his cooking one last time, unless, of course, you're going to the big Trinity, my church Trinity Monitor Wild Game Dinner in March. Dave's going to stick around for that. 989-624-9349. Call for reservations. Love to have you join us. It'll be a great party. All during the holiday season, on Wednesday Night Lives, we give away a Michigan brand ham. All you have to do is tune in for that. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Wednesday Night Live show on my website, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Not on Instagram yet. We're still working on that. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I want to see your pictures. Send them to me. Celebrate your harvest. Celebrate your outdoor experience. Celebrate your outdoor adventure. And share it with the world. I'm doing a pretty good job on keeping up with the pictures coming into me. It might take me a little while to get to them, but I think I've done a pretty good job. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Lieutenant Jason Wicklund from the DNR talking about the regulations on these late deer seasons, what you need to know, what you need to keep in mind to increase your chances of putting more venison in the freezer right here in the great state of Michigan. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Tawas on WIOS 1480 AM and 106.9 FM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Rapid River Knives. You know I have a Rapid River knife in my pocket right now, as I always do. I'm a big fan of this company. I'm a big fan of the people behind it. Rapid River Knives makes handmade pieces of art, functional, designed to be passed down from generation to generation. Their website is rapidriverknifeworks.us, rapidriverknifeworks.us. If you're in the Yup, I would highly encourage you to stop by their showroom. It's on 2 just east of Rapid River. You will be very impressed. You can walk in there and pick out any knife you want and get it in time for Christmas. What a great Christmas present. I gave several Rapid River knives as Christmas presents last year, and everybody was very, very glad to get them. rapidriverknifeworks.us. Now, to be honest with you, have not had a chance to put that Rapid River knife to use on a Michigan whitetail yet this fall. And I was starting to get discouraged, starting to think, man, I'm running out of time here. Thinking, well, I'm going to have to pick up the crossbow and head back out in the woods. But the more I look at this, I'm thinking, I can stay out there, I think, with my Brenton 350 Legend for several more weeks yet. But I don't want to do something stupid and make a mistake. So I thought, let's check with Lieutenant Jason Wicklund of the Michigan DNR. He's a conservation officer out of the UP. And he has become, to be honest with you, my go-to guy. When I have a question about legalities and doing the right thing and doing, staying on the right side of the law, he's the first guy I go to, and he's graciously allowed us some time here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Lieutenant, welcome back. How you doing?
Thanks. Good to be back.
So listen, how did your deer season go so far?
Well, I'm in Menominee County right now, and Menominee County, I think, is leading the state in registered deer, antler deer. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. So, we had some snow the first day of deer season. We had 3 inches of snow that fell down on the ground, and being a Tuesday opener, it wasn't as busy as it was, if it opened on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. But there's a lot of deer being killed, a lot of hunters out there, a lot of numbers of successful hunters out there. Myself, I haven't been successful, but there's still a lot of late season left to hunt, and I enjoy the late season with the less hunting activity in the woods.
Let's talk about these late seasons, Lieutenant. Here in Michigan, we've got a muzzleloader season coming up. And in the past, it was a black powder kind of almost a primitive season. That's not the case anymore, is it?
No, you're exactly right. We used to have the primitive weapons, and people are thinking about the old traditional black powder guns, ramming a ball down the barrel, and now with the inlines and some other different technology that's out there, it's no longer really a primitive season. It's good because it gives people more opportunities to kill deer, which is what we want, and it gives them some weapon choices that are a lot more accurate and user friendly than the traditional method of measuring out the powder and the wad and putting a bullet or a sabot down a barrel.
Well, the biologists in the DNR, and I want to make that distinction, game wardens are not biologists and vice versa, but the biologists have made it very clear they want us as Michigan hunters to kill more deer, and there have been some liberalized regulations to accommodate that.
Absolutely, and I sit on a lot of the sprint team meetings with deer regulations and deer harvests, and that's the overreaching goal of every one of those meetings is we want to kill more deer, and we do that because we want people to be successful. We had just under 1 million licenses sold, deer licenses sold, which is great. The harvest reporting is another tool that we can get real-time data from, and we want people to be successful, and the more deer that are killed, the happier people are, and we can get a better handle on disease control and what's out there by some of these deer that are being checked in and make acceptable or change the standards to make everybody's harvest and the deer population more stable and less susceptible to disease.
So in some parts of the state, at least, is it true that you can use, like I could use my 350 Legend during the muzzleloader season?
Yes, there's opportunities now in that zone 3, that limited that firearm zone. If you look in your guide, there's a map there, and there's a whole bunch of counties that are included on that. And that zone is any legal firearm. So, and the same firearm rules apply that would apply right now with the firearm deer season, finishing up today. So, if you're not in that zone, and you can look at the actual zone 3 area. But there's lots of counties that are included in that, and there's a line in the digest. You can use any legal firearm. The rest of the state, you're required to use a muzzleloader, and that's rifles, shotguns, and pistols. And that definition's in the guide as well. So yeah, if you're where you're at right now, down in Midland, that would be acceptable to use any legal firearm, so you could use your 350.
So zone 3, the traditional, what we used to call the shotgun zone, during the muzzleloader season, and it's not just zone 3, there are some bordering counties there too, I see on the map. Any legal firearm, which means shotgun, muzzleloader, of course, and center fire rifle or appropriate handgun.
Yes, you are correct. So wow. That's an option out there. Like I said, the goal here is to get people out hunting, to be successful, to allow more deer being killed. And another caveat with that, and is the antler point restrictions do not apply during in that zone anyway. So you can hunt if you got a firearm or a single deer tag or a combo deer tag, you can harvest an antlered or antlerless deer.
Okay, so zone 2, northern lower Michigan. Walk us through that one, Lieutenant.
So zone 2 is you're restricted to muzzleloading, although in some areas, CWD surveillance or CWD areas, you're allowed to use archery equipment. So those areas are defined in the law, and it would be in the guide. So if you are in zone 2, there is an opportunity, and zone 1, which is the UP, there is an opportunity for you to use alternate weapons besides muzzleloading equipment, but that would be very specific to an area, and you have to look at your specific area to see where those areas apply.
I'm glad you brought that up. During the late season, and the late season I'm going to say is the muzzleloader season and the late doe season, you can hunt with archery gear anytime, but you've got to wear orange. Is that true?
once the firearm season, if it's a firearm related, so firearm deer season, you have to wear orange if you're archery hunting. When they're in the traditional archery hunting seasons, and you're not using a firearm, then you're not required to wear orange. So so firearm deer season, if you're out there during firearm deer season and you want to hunt with the archery equipment, you have to wear orange. Same with the late firearm deer season. But it's always a good thing. People think that deer can see orange, and all the stories I've heard over the years. But it's all about safety. At the end of the day, we want everybody to go out hunt and return home safely. And orange is always a great option, 360 degrees visible to ensure that people come home safe.
Okay, let's move to the UP now. Zone 1. What are the restrictions? What are the regulations there for the later seasons?
So Zone 1 doesn't have a late firearm antlerless season. And you can use your muzzleloading equipment, and that season starts here on December 2nd, runs to the 11th, and then after that you're only allowed to hunt with archery equipment through January 1st. However, there is no crossbows allowed in the UP for these late seasons unless you are in one of the CWD management areas or surveillance areas, and there's that area that's Dickinson-Menominee border is the one I'm talking about. So you're allowed to use a crossbow in that area only. Otherwise, you're restricted to a firearm, muzzle-loading firearm. And if you're going to go out and hunt the late archery season, then you can use traditional archery equipment, but a crossbow would not be allowed outside the CWD area.
Lieutenant, I know you didn't make that law, but I got to be honest. That to me seems crazy. If you want to kill more deer, let guys and gals use crossbows in the late season.
Yeah, I know, and I just asked the DNR on TV 13 about that too, and we talk about migration routes and deer patterns and everything else, and the crossbow is a deadly weapon. I mean, is it a unfair advantage? Probably not, but the biologists look at the data, they look at the deer numbers, the deer coming into an area that are more susceptible to over harvest or targeting. They put those restrictions in place, and we enforce the law. So could it change eventually? It was introduced last year. I think this year was introduced to allow that, and it wasn't pushed through. But I'm sure that won't be the last time we hear about crossbow equipment.
Okay, now let's go beyond the muzzleloader season. Let's talk about a late doe season. Some parts of the state have a special late doe season, right?
Yeah, you've got a bunch of opportunities to hunt late season. So you've got the traditional archery season, which runs all the way to through January 1st, and then you've got an extended season, which is the reserve hunt is also in Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne counties. I believe they have the extended archery season, which runs to January 31st. You've got the deer management hunt, which is that Shiawassee, that corridor down there. That takes place too. That's another firearm opportunity hunt, and I'm looking right now on my notes to see there still is reserve Angeles license available for Shiawassee County. So there is a ton of opportunities for people if they want to get out there and hunt with a firearm. Still, you've got muzzleloading season, then you've got till the 11th, and then you have the late antlerless firearm season that opens up on the 12th, and that runs all the way through 3 weeks, and then you have the reserve hunt, which runs the first Monday after the first Monday following the third Saturday in December through January 1st, and that's the areas that wildlife approved deer population management plans. So that's another option. And then you have the archery season that runs through January 1st for most of us, except for down in that special area where it runs January 31st. So There's plenty more opportunities to get out there and hunt the late seasons with a variety of weapons and hopefully successfully harvest a deer.
Lieutenant, hang tight. We've got to take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine show. We're talking with Lieutenant Jason Wicklund of the Michigan DNR, the website michigan.gov/DNR, michigan.gov/DNR. But I got a smile on my face right now because the lieutenant verified that where I hunt, I do indeed have at least basically a month-long firearm season because at this point I'm hunting does anyway. So I say get out there and take advantage of it. The department wants us to shoot more deer. I'm trying my best. I'm trying. That's my goal. I see all these pictures people send me on the Facebook page of all these big, beautiful bucks and does. I'm trying, and there's still a lot of time. We'll take a break. Lots more coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by VersaSkins. Just change your skin for the season you're in. VersaSkins owner Paul Perone has come up with a great concept. Buy one good quality, warm, wind-resistant, water-resistant hunting suit, and then snap on and zip on an outer shell with a different pattern. You can go from blaze orange to snow camo to upland to it's perfect. The website is versaskins.com. That's versaskins.com. Right now, there's a big sale going on. I think it's a 40% off sale through Christmas. 40%. If you go to the website versaskins.com, that's versaskins.com. I thought that I was going to be switching out of my blaze orange VersaSkins shell because I thought I was going to have to pick up my crossbow for the rest of the season. But now I find out where I am in the state, I can hunt with my Brenton 350 Legend through the muzzleloader season and through the late doe season. So I'm going to keep that blaze orange on there for a while, versaskins.com. To talk about these late season regulations and more, we're talking with Lieutenant Jason Wicklund of the DNR. Jason, before the break, you were talking about safety. Now, I've heard, I was looking at something online out of Wisconsin. They've had a lot of accidents this season, but I think our Michigan season has been pretty good, hasn't it?
Yeah, Michigan's really been trending upwards in safety, and that's a testament to not only the dedicated hunter safety instructors that are all throughout the state, but also the section that's right next to me down in Lansing that has a dedicated team of people that are out there, making sure that the students are getting materials, making sure the training is getting done, and the materials are getting out to stress safety. And hunter's orange is always the best route. I know, other states that have a little bit different requirements for orange laws or different colors they're allowed to wear. They're also the ones that seem to have the most hunting related accidents or injuries. So Michigan's been great. Everybody that's out there listening is doing their part. Make sure that you know what's beyond your target and make sure you identify your target before you pull the trigger. And like I said, at the end of the day, we want people to be successful, but we also want them to return home safely.
Well, and beyond blaze orange too, I know you guys have done a lot of promotion or a lot of education in the area of tree stands. Now that we can put firearm hunters up in tree stands, we can't forget about that either. I mean, full body harnesses, lifelines, two types of tree stand hunters: those who have fallen, and I think those who will, Lieutenant.
You're exactly right. And the days of the old seatbelt up there, and I've been to many tree stand accidents where the stand's been sitting up there dry rotting in the sun, and they don't do a safety check and get up there, and mistakes are going to always happen. But the technology out there, the materials that are used, the efforts by the hunters to make sure that their equipment is in tip-top shape before they put it out in the field is a huge influence on the safety. And as more people get out there, and you're right, we do allow people more opportunities to hunt and trees and everything else than were in the past. You would think that with people in trees with guns that there'd be more accidents, but there's actually less, and that's a testament to a lot of things. Mostly the people at the end of the day that are up there doing the hunting.
In today's world, we hear so much bad news about guns and how violent and how dangerous it is, but man, you look at the number of hunters we put in the field every fall and the small amount of accidents we have. Every accident is a tragedy, but statistically, hunting has got to be one of the safest outdoor activities we can be involved in.
Yeah, you're very right on that, and it's hunting is it's a privilege, and to go out there and to be able to hunt. And there's a lot of responsibilities that are going out there. I mean, there's a lot of people now with technology that are scouting the areas. They know what's in the areas based on trail cameras. You don't have somebody showing up opening morning, just picking a spot in the map and walking in there, and nobody knows that he's there. With the technology and the people that are the technology and the resources we have now, I mean, you pretty much know everybody who's around you or coming and going. You've patterned not only the deer but all the other hunters in the area. So, which is good because you know who's over that ridge, you know whose blind that is, you know who's in and around that area, and that's also a huge contributor to being safe out there.
Speaking of those cellular trail cameras, getting a lot of attention in some parts of the country. Some states are trying to restrict the use or ban them. Is there anything you've heard of in the wind here in Michigan? Any talk of anything like that?
Well, we're always evaluating the trends. I know Boone and Crockett is, I think if they haven't already, they're not accepting submissions used over technology. And the cell phone trail camera is a hot debate, as is drones. And right now, the way the law is written, drones are not legal for hunting purposes. That means active hunting, scouting, recovering, all that stuff is illegal. And cell phone trail cameras, they have a niche. But right now, the division is not moving towards any type of regulations to restrict cellular trail cameras. I think that, the real-time data, you're sitting in your tree getting real-time data, the deer walking towards your stand, would that keep somebody in the stand a little bit longer? Probably. Would it violate fair chase and some of that? Those are debatable questions, and I'd certainly like to sit at the table on those debates. But at this time, right now, we're not limiting technology outside of drones because that's already written in the law to restrict trail cameras or cellular trail cameras.
Lieutenant, always a pleasure. I appreciate your input, your insight, your information, and your time.
Thank you. And you be safe out there, and good luck hunting the rest of the season.
You as well. Lieutenant Jason Wicklund from the DNR, michigan.gov/DNR, michigan.gov/DNR. We'll take a break. When we come back, switch gears a little bit. Go from hunting to walleye fishing, the tremendous trophy walleye bite on Saginaw Bay right now with Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters out of the Linwood Beach Marina. Coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK. That's 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS and north of the bridge in Escanaba on WCHT 600 AM 95.3 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan tracker and angler quest headquarters. For more info, check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. Speaking of Linwood Beach and Saginaw Bay, there's a real good big fish walleye bite going on out there right now. And, I spend all summer out there chasing those fish. I haven't been out there in a long, long time. And I'm, pun intended, I am missing the boat. Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters works out of Linwood Beach Marina. He's with us now to talk about this for a couple of minutes. Cap, welcome back. How are you?
Good morning. Morning, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Listen, the fishing out there has been real strong this late fall, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's incredible. We never got the warm water, late this summer to push these fish out. Usually that 80-degree mark pushes these fish out past the islands. This year they never left. So it's been outstanding fishing. These fish are in shallow. They're out deep. There's a pot of fish just everywhere right now in Saginaw Bay and the inner Saginaw Bay part of it. So.
Well, and that's my question. Somebody come in from out of the area or, who doesn't take advantage of this fall fishery, are we fishing the same spots we do in the summertime?
Right now, yes. We're catching fish in 12 to 14 foot of water, 16 to 18 foot of water. There's fish out in 20 to 25 foot of water. They're all different staging areas as far as, males and females and where the feed's at. Right now, there's an abundance of shad, minnows, perch in the shallower waters. These fish are uptight right now. The shipping channel, the old shipping channel, the sailboat buoys, all the common areas where we catch fish in the summertime, those fish are loaded in there right now.
That's crazy. Are you finding schools, say if you find a school of big fish, will it be a school of big fish or will it be a mixture? You got to pick through the smaller fish to get the bigger ones.
It's still a mixture. I have found the last couple of trips I've had out here in the last couple of weeks, the bigger fish seem to bite in the morning, the first couple hours. And then by the time your trip gets done, then you'll get a few smaller fish, but they're still great eaters. If you're out to catch a bunch of eaters, you can go any time of the day and catch them, periodically out the whole day. Change the colors up a little bit, maybe go from, instead of painted baits, more a chrome style bait with the sun on them. But these fish are actually biting all day right now. But I have found that the bigger fish, even the big males, are, the early bite, late bite. The midday is kind of that, that 15 to 18 inch fish instead. So.
Well, and we talk about the 15 to 18. That's the fish we're fishing for all summer long. What's a big, solid, real nice fish size wise this time of year?
We're catching 7, 8, 9 pounds right now, and it's incredible. These fish are healthy. They got big bellies on them. The eggs are starting to develop, for the spring spawn, but they're also full of bait fish too. They're putting the feed bags on for sure and getting ready for that winter bite. If it stays like this, the ice fishing is going to be incredible as well.
You get an 8-pound fish, grabs your bait, you look at your board, there's no doubt there. Summertime's like, is that a fish? Is that a fish? Not this time of year, I suspect.
It's still the same. You get an 8-pound fish, it's like hooking onto a brick. That a lot of times the boards actually bury. They actually go underwater. They actually disappear. Keep in mind, you're only going half the speed. Right now we're going 1.1, 1.2. You're going a slow speed, but the fish are 2 and 3 times bigger than they were in the summertime. So they don't want to drag. They want to hold their ground and stay still. And that board is pegged, and most times they actually go underwater.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Your tactics, your techniques. You say for one thing, you're going a little slower than we would in the summertime.
Absolutely. Summertime, here's the theory I go by. The colder it is, the slower you go, the bigger the bait. And then the warmer it is, the faster you go, the smaller the bait. These fish like the small baits in the summertime, but this time of year they want a big meal and eat fewer times a day. We're on the big bandits, the big husky jerks, 12 and 14 husky jerks. Number 11, flickering minnows. Those type of baits going 1, 1.1, 1.2, up to 1.5 right now. Typically what I do is in the 30-degree range. I run the big baits and then go slower. 1 to 1.5. If it's in the 40 to 50 degree range, go a little bit smaller baits, then go a little faster. But now that the water's 35, 37 degrees, sometimes you break skim ice in the morning to get out. It's typical all bandits or husky jerks from here at this time of year right now.
Those are big baits. Big baits, yeah.
Yes.
Are the docks still in at Linwood Beach Marina?
Yes, they are. Well, we won't pull the docks until it's actually frozen, where we have to chip ice at the launch docks. We have the floating docks out for the marina itself. We can still tie up to those. We have a slip available. Someone wants to spend the night, we can still tie you up to a floater dock for the night. Some guy wants to fish in the afternoon, fish the next morning. It's available for us at the marina. But the launch docks are still in, and so we won't pull those until we absolutely have to, where we have to chip 2-3 inches ice to get the docks out. They're going to stay in there until then. Absolutely.
Man, that's some pretty hardcore fishing, Jason.
It is. But, it's a risk reward. It's cold. It's just like ice fishing. I tell my customers, when you show up here these type of days, first thing in the morning, dress like you go ice fishing and then some. Have your hand warmers, because it's like riding a snowmobile or motorcycle without a helmet on. That's how cold it is on the water all the time you're out there. Yeah. So dress accordingly. Have your ice gear. Have your hand warmers. Have a thermos of coffee or hot chocolate, stuff like that. Keep yourself core warm. Keep your body warm. But like I said, the fish don't seem to care right now, and they're plentiful. There are lots of fish out there. Lots of different pods. Lots of different groups. You can catch them in different areas. You can go south. You can go north. You can go east. You can go west. And just once you find that pod, stay on them. That's the biggest thing.
Great fishing report from Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters. SendItCharters.com and Linwood Beach Marina. Jason, be safe out there. Have fun. I'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Captain Jason Graham of Send It Charters out of Linwood Beach Marina. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, more great late season open water fishing with Eric Skeeter Beckman. He's actually a Brenton, USA guy. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk fishing as well. And then Nick Green of MUCC checks in, and we'll wrap up the hour with this week's Ask Avery segment. That's coming up in hour 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons and Polar Craft Boats, the Forward Corporation, Primal Tree Stands, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, Brenton USA Hunting Rifles, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. Yes, indeed, this is first and foremost a 3-hour syndicated statewide radio show. And I think the best way to listen, if you can, is on your local AM or FM station. There you get your local news and weather and sports and maybe even a commercial or sale or something you want to take advantage of. But if your local affiliate doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal, isn't it nice to know that there's a podcast version of the show available? Podcasting is huge these days. There's all kinds of podcasts out there, some very, very good ones as well. I enjoy podcasts myself. I love to listen to podcasts, and you can hear the podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show on my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. It's on my Facebook page. It's on Amazon Music, Audible. It's on Twitter, LinkedIn, Apple Music, everything. Google Play, iHeartRadio, Odyssey, even on YouTube. Yeah, we put a podcast up on YouTube, and every week people watch/listen to it. I also do monthly podcasts for Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Boats, Polar Craft Boats, and Primal Tree Stands. And I would encourage you to check out the most recent Primal podcast I did. You can find that at primaltreestands.com, primaltreestands.com. I had a very interesting conversation with David Blanton of Realtree. You know David. He's been an icon in the outdoor industry for three decades now. And we talked about his career in the early days of outdoor television, how it's evolved. And we got on the topic of deer hunting and how maybe I think that a lot of these outdoor TV shows these days have created unrealistic expectations for the average Michigan deer hunter. So we had, I think, a very good conversation about that. Again, it's at the website primaltreestands.com. That's primaltreestands.com. I was so glad to hear the news from Lieutenant Jason Wicklund of the Michigan DNR in the first hour of this week's show that I don't have to. Where I hunt in the central part of the state, actually in Midland County, where I hunt in Midland County, I was afraid I was going to have to put my Brenton 350 Legend away and pick up the crossbow. And I could do that if I want, but I don't want to. And I don't have to. I can hunt with that Brenton 350 Legend where I am in Midland County, right on through the muzzleloader season and then into the late doe season. So I can stay out there with that Brenton 350 Legend for basically a 5-week firearm season. So I'm pretty excited about that. Eric Skeeter Beckman is with Brenton, BrentonUSA.com. He's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Skeeter, welcome back. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Listen, I want to talk to you about whitefish here in just a few minutes because I know that's a passion of yours. But as long as we're on the Brenton topic here now, how are things going at Michigan-based Brenton USA?
Oh, I mean, things are going well. Orders are coming in. We're putting rifles together for guys. I think we've seen a little bit of a downtrend now that rifle season is kind of wrapping up, and maybe guys don't understand that they still have the muzzleloader season, and if they're in zone 3, they can still use their straight wall cartridge, and we're going to call it, I guess, high-powered muzzleloader season.
We can't call it primitive anymore, can we?
No, there is nothing primitive about that rifle.
Hey, are you seeing, because the Brenton it is an AR style platform, are you seeing any negative impacts of this anti-gun movement across the country? Is that coming back home to Michigan? Are you seeing that at Brenton?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just the uncertainty, and when you kind of get question marks out there, I think it's a little tough for guys to, excuse the pun, pull the trigger on a nice rifle like that.
Yeah, I get that. Well, we'll just have to keep doing the right thing and using our guns responsibly for legal, law-abiding, fun activities, and that's all we can do.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about whitefish. A lot of people, I think they're missing some outstanding fishing during the deer season. You're able to take advantage of both. Tell me more about whitefish.
All right. So because I live so close to the Lake Michigan shoreline, it is just a very short jaunt from my home to get to a couple of different harbors where the whitefish, when they spawn, they will come from Lake Michigan, from the deep, and they will come into the channels for just about any lake that touches Lake Michigan. You're going to get a whitefish spawn. They do like the rocks to drop their eggs in, but they're there. It happens every year when the water temperature gets into the 40s. It happens for 2 weeks, and Thanksgiving is always part of those 2 weeks. So it could be 2 weeks before, 1 week before, or the 2 weeks after, but Thanksgiving night, kind of a tradition for us to go out there and catch whitefish by jigging in the channels.
Okay, so this, I was thinking this would continue on for a while, but this is a short window. This is the spawn.
This is the spawn, and this is the only reason why they come in this close. So, they're deep water, cold water fish. They like living out there in Lake Michigan in the deep. When the sun kind of comes out, it's kind of a nighttime thing, so it doesn't really interfere with your deer hunting. It's something you can do after you've hunted for the day and just don't want to head home, or you've got the fall rush like I do, where it's like, man, we have to put maximum meat in the freezer to be able to carry us through the spring, summer time. I definitely have to have whitefish dip, so I have to go out there. I have to get some whitefish. I've been making it for too long, so now it's like Christmas is coming, right? So I'm already getting people saying, hey, are you coming to the Christmas party? Are you bringing whitefish dip? So
they don't want you, Skeeter. They want your dip.
That's it. They don't want me there. I just make good recipes. That's how I keep friends.
You mentioned Lake Michigan, but I also hear about a similar bite over on Lake Huron. Say Tawas gets a pretty good whitefish bite as well.
Absolutely. It's any of our, we're blessed to have these great lakes, and there's whitefish in every single one of them. And those whitefish are going to push into those tributaries to dump their spawn. So if you have a body of water that's connected to one of our Great Lakes, you should be looking when the water temperature gets to the 40s. 49 is kind of the magic number where we start looking. When it's there, they're going to be there.
All right, let me ask you a stupid question. Whitefish versus Menominee. They're similar, but they're not the same fish, are they?
They're not. They're similar species, but there's just a few strains that are a little bit different. We've got lots of. It's the same argument we have when everybody looks at it and says that's a hybrid bluegill, pumpkin seed. It's all this. It's all the same, and they all fry the same. So, when we go up to like Burt Mullet Lake and we fish up there and we catch those whitefish in there, which we call tulibies, they're just a smaller whitefish that those big pike really, really love. We smoke those things whole because they're small, and it's always nice when you've got a bunch of buddies around and maybe have a Bloody Mary and you slide a whole smoked fish into a Bloody Mary.
You're making my mouth water, Skeeter. That sounds outstanding.
It's fantastic. So, but these ones, that we're getting, these Great Lakes whitefish, they're large fish. They're 20 inches to 4 inches. For the females, the males are a little bit smaller, and the males are there first. We prefer to fish them at night. You can definitely fish them during the day from the break arms and in the channels in the middle and the deeper parts. During the day, you probably want to use a single egg. Single boiled salmon egg works pretty good, and fish them like you would steelhead or just with a dead rod. Just waiting for that indication of a strike for that thing to bend over. They do kind of have soft mouths, so you don't want to really set the hook. Got to be a little gentle with them, I guess. At night, we fish it more of the way they do in Green Bay. Fish for them. We have a spoon. 6 to 8 inches above that, we actually put a small fly. I like to use glow-in-the-dark stuff. VMC makes some pretty good tungsten bugs that are glow-in-the-dark. Sometimes we tip it with some sort of a bait, but they're really attracted to that glow-in-the-dark spoon or flashy spoon going up and down. And they come in and they take a look at it because they're curious. And sometimes you catch them on that spoon, but a lot of times you'll catch them on the bug up above. That's where they eat terrestrials. So they're picking bugs all the time, and they're eating small fish.
We're talking with Eric Skeeter Beckman of Brenton USA Firearms, BrentonUSA.com, BrentonUSA.com. Got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. Skeeter, can you hang with me for a few more?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk more about not about Brenton. We've talked a lot about Brenton. My Brenton 350 legend will be by my side and in my blind and in my stand for the next several weeks now as I take advantage of the late muzzleloader season and also the late doe season where you can use a centerfire rifle. I'm very excited about that. Also very excited, though, about the tremendous late fall fishing going on here across the state, and that includes whitefish. I got a little birdie told me that Skeeter is an expert when it comes to whitefish, and you can see that he is. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we will pick his brain more about whitefish and how to take advantage of this limited opportunity. He says lasts only a few weeks, but it's going on right now. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY. That's 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Sports Extra 1330 WTRX. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Manistee on WTIQ 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by MUCC's On the Ground program. OTG is a program to improve habitat for fish and wildlife across the state. For details, check out the Michigan United Conservation Club's website. It's MUCC.org. That's MUCC.org. By the way, if you want to sign up to become an MUCC member, like I am, if you're signing up for the first time, you can use the promo code Mike, all caps MIKE, and save 25%. By the way, if you want to buy a Brenton USA rifle, if you go to the website BrentonUSA.com, BrentonUSA.com, and use the promo code Avery, you can get $100 off on that. Now, I bring up Brenton because we're talking with Skeeter Beckman of Brenton USA, the website BrentonUSA.com. Skeeter will be joining us, I think, this Wednesday for our Wednesday night live at Dixie Dave's Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse. Now, this is going to be a big party because my good friend and wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner is retiring. So we're having one last Wednesday night live blowout at Oscar and Joey's, and you can join us. Call for reservations. The number is 989-624-9349, 989-624-9349. If you didn't get the number, Google Oscar and Joey's in Birch Run. The number is there. The Wednesday night live starts at 7 o'clock, but I would encourage you to be there make your reservations for 6:15, 6:30 or so. And Skeeter or somebody from Brenton's going to be there with us, along with some of my other advertising partners. And Skeeter, I understand you might have a few giveaways for us as well.
Oh, absolutely. We'll bring the care package, make sure we've got some hats, hoodies, stickers, the whole 9 yards.
Wonderful. I look forward to that. All right, so we're talking about white fishing. You said they're a good-sized fish. You said they have a soft mouth. I mean, how does that affect our fishing for them?
Well, you're going to want to use, when you hook them, you're definitely going to want to have drag set correctly, and you want to use a fishing pole that's got a little bit faster action. That way you've got some bend in the rod. They tend to not fight very much, but you can definitely overhorse them and pull that hook free.
So if you're up on the breakwall or up on the pier, you're probably quite a ways above the water. How do you net these fish? How do you get them to you?
Long handle net. You've got to have a long handle net, and it helps to have a buddy. I was out a few nights ago by myself, and managed to land 4, but I did have 8 of them on. I lost 4 of them trying to get them in the net.
And that's where you tend to lose them, when you're netting them?
Absolutely. That's soft mouth. They're at the top. They're doing their last struggle. You've got to be prepared by the time they get to the surface to be able to put the net underneath them. If they get any of that body weight out of the water, they're going to pull that hook free.
I would think, too, this time of year, again, if you're out on that pier or break wall and you get a wind and you get some spray and you get cold night, it could be treacherous out there.
Absolutely. Type 1 life jackets save your life. Put that thing on and wear it and like a pair of suspenders. And if you happen to go in the water, because we are on the pier, it's going to be a slip and a fall. Chance of hitting your head is pretty high. You definitely want something to keep you buoyant, so give you a chance.
Ice creepers on your boots?
Ice creepers on the boots.
Again, as we were talking in the first hour with the guys out fishing Saginaw Bay this time of year, for the guys and gals on the pier, it's pretty hardcore. It's a hardcore fall fishing activity.
It is. And, I think that I have a lot of fun doing dangerous things safely. But you got to make sure that you're covering all your bases on your safety needs and not putting your life in jeopardy for some whitefish dip. It is pretty good, but I don't think I want to put it in that caliber. Well,
and this is what I keep hearing about whitefish is the real reward of ice fishing or white fishing is the fish itself, is the taste of the fish.
The fish is fantastic. It's one that you can use in just about any recipe that has a white fish. We make seafood chowder, and we make that with whitefish. We do a lot of the smoked fish because it smokes fantastically. It's a nice big flake fish, so it'll absorb that smoky flavor that we all love. Like you feel like you just walked into the smokehouse and got a piece of fish. It absorbs it well. It takes good color and makes whitefish dip. Those are the ways that I like to use it, but straight whitefish just fried is fantastic. It's a nice flaky white fish. It's one of those fish that you can give people. They say, I don't eat fish. They'll eat whitefish.
And you said that you also do some inland fishing later in the season. Is this ice fishing where you're after those fish inland on the other lakes?
Yeah. No, we get them in Muskegon Lake. We've caught them in Portage Lake here on the west side. We've caught them in Crystal Lake up in Beulah. The tullabies that we get are in Burton, Mullet Lake, mostly Mullet Lake, I believe. That's a pretty big one that's got a lot of fish in it.
Is that an ice fishery, though?
It is. It is an ice fishery.
Is that a nighttime bite as well?
Nope, that's during the day. We're fishing deeper water. We usually pick them up incidentally when we're trying to fish for walleyes or perch.
Ah, okay. But is there enough of a population where you could go out and target those things through the ice, or again, is it just an incidental catch?
It's an incidental catch. You can go target them, and a lot of times the guys that are out fishing walleyes that are being very aggressive, looking through, and they're looking at their graphs, and we use Markham and Lowrance, and we'll see them down there and say, I had fish come in, and they just weren't interested, and I was getting aggressive with them, and realize that you're looking at a fish that looks very similar to a lazy walleye on the graph, and they're really white fish with small mouths that are moving slowly, and they want to grab at something that's a little bit smaller than your typical walleye jig.
Ah, gotcha. Listen, let's switch gears here a little bit, too. You're also a hardcore predator hunter, aren't you?
I am. Spend a lot of nights out chasing predators, especially this time of year, right when it's like you're in the deer woods and you have a lot of interaction with whitetails and start thinking about whitetails and how we manage populations in Michigan, and then you're just about to get out of the set and you hear those coyotes go off and you go, man, I think I need to help with this population, especially if you get in the middle of a big howl. And that's what really got me started. And that is a sport that you will spend your money like a drunk sailor.
The guys again, and gals, the people I know who are into predator hunting, it's an addiction.
Oh my goodness, it's fun. Like it is, it touches all the boxes for me. So it is, hunting at night. That's exhilarating. Hearing them like you do turkeys. You're doing short jaunts, but then you're hunting for a large animal. It's it just ticks all the boxes.
Well, I know what you mean. I was just getting ready to get out of the blind the other night, and a pack of them fired up, and it's like, man, that is for one, it's a cool sound. I love to hear it, but it reminds you that we do have an overpopulation of predators, and we need to do something about it.
Oh, absolutely. I think, for all the animals you see on the side of the road that are unfortunately hit by vehicles in Michigan, and, coyote is one of those ones when you see it, you go, I think that was a coyote. Like it just doesn't happen. They're smart. They don't have anything that's a predator for them except for us.
Well, and then you pick them up on your trail cam and you realize there's a lot of them out there.
Absolutely. I actually, unfortunately, got a trail cam picture of a coyote carrying a fawn head this year on one of my cameras, and a spot that I didn't hunt as hard as I would have liked to for coyotes this last year. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to double my efforts in that location, make sure that doesn't happen again.
Is it hard to get started predator hunting, coyote hunting?
It is not. And everybody has an opinion. So you can start with your deer rifle. Make sure you check the regs, because there are caliber restriction sizes for nighttime hunts, and depending on what zone you're in and if you're on private or public land. So you really have to dive into those regulations. But red lights can still be used. People still make the mouth calls that can be blown into. You don't have to have thermal optics on top of a specially built rifle with an electronic collar with sounds downloaded from everybody across the country. You can get there, but it is one of those things where you can start with what you have, and you can upgrade and progress as you decide you want to do this.
You don't have to have thermal imaging, but I bet it's pretty cool.
Oh, it's really, really cool. Like I don't think that you want to look through my scope, because I will then tell you how much it's going to cost you to scratch that itch you have.
Yeah, but you can see so much.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
Wait, so will you? All right. So you're still deer hunting. You're white fishing.
I am.
When do you really go full bore on predator hunting?
We talked about tomorrow, but then I looked at the weather, and 26 mile an hour wind on the west side of the state is probably going to keep me indoors.
All right. So any time now, you're getting ready to really take off after him anytime.
Yeah, it's on. I've got my deer put away in the freezer. I've got a couple more obligation deer that I think I need to get for my population on my pieces of property that I hunt. But I'm ready to start hunting for coyotes and foxes for right now, and while foxes are still open.
All right, Skeeter, listen, a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you at Dixie Dave's.
We'll see you then, sir.
All right. Eric Skeeter Beckman of Brenton, USA. BrentonUSA.com is the website, BrentonUSA.com. Talking about deer hunting. He's talking about predator hunting. He's talking about white fishing. The guy is kind of an all-around outdoorsman, and I like that. BrentonUSA.com. You can join us as well. Boy, if you hurry, I mean, we're going to sell out. 989-624-9349. 4 reservations. Won't cost you anything except the price of your meal. I'm not buying that for you, but I don't know. Maybe if you get me in the right mood, I will buy you dinner. BrentonUSA.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, Nick Green of MUCC right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM. and north of the bridge in the Sioux on WKNW News Talk 1400. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Hunter Safety System and the Limb Shield. You know, deer season's not over yet. And if you're going to be up a tree, I strongly recommend, please, I'll plead with you, don't go up a tree without a full body harness on. I like Hunter Safety System. They are the originators, and in my opinion, still the best. Also, check out their Limb Shield product line to control your scent for those wily late-season whitetails. And I think a Hunter Safety System vest is an excellent Christmas gift as well. The website, huntersafetysystem.com. That's huntersafetysystem.com. While you're online, please check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And then head over to MUCC.org, MUCC.org, your online source for all things outdoor news here in Michigan, conservation-related issues, things out of the legislature. Nick Green is their Chief Information Officer and joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, as always, Mike.
Listen, always a pleasure. What's going on in your world, buddy?
We are looking towards the December Natural Resources Commission next week. So that's kind of the big policy piece we're working on. Our field programs are kind of on hiatus here in the wintertime. We're really gearing up for a new legislature to start in January. So it will be a Democratic-controlled House, Senate, and governor. So issues will look a little bit different, but it's not a bad thing. We'll just work on different issues. And so lots of things going, but looking towards the NRC and riding out the rest of this session, and then looking towards the new one for 2023.
Anything of note on the agenda for the NRC December meeting?
It's expected that the director will sign the updated wolf plan that came out of the Wolf Management Advisory Council. The DNR put that together and presented that to the NRC last month. And then it's also expected that the director will sign the elk management plan. MUCC, our executive director, Amy Trotter, was a member of the Management Advisory Council. One of the main issues we kind of have with the updated plan that is expected to be signed is the use of the term recreational hunting. We would really just like the word recreational struck. That's kind of it may seem small, but it is a big deal. Hunting, although it could be recreational, there's a lot of reasons we use it. And it's one of our primary tools for managing species. We don't call, deer hunting recreational hunting. It's just hunting. So we would like to treat it like we do other species in Michigan and have the words, because the words 20 years from now could be important
now,
that are on the paper.
Is that in reference to the wolf plan, Nick?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
The wolf management plan. Yep.
Well, and before people get too excited, they say, hey, the director is going to sign this. We're going to have a wolf hunt. We're still far from that, right?
We are. So federally, they are still an endangered species. They were relisted again not too long ago. Until that is all sorted out at the federal level, there is nothing our state can do. MUCC's position has and always will be that the state should control management of our species. That includes wolves, and we do have a huntable population that we should be able to hunt and trap.
End of story. Should be.
End of story. Yep.
Consent decree negotiations, still frustration watching those unfold?
It is. We're still several years past when the deadline was supposed to have been met, and we're still watching that unfold. There's some new filings from the Sault Ste. Marie tribe, and they have asked to regulate themselves, and that's public knowledge. That's in court. So that will be all unfolding in 2023, and that's just kind of another a piece of the puzzle here that will play out over the next few years. This likely got a lot more complicated and a lot more lengthy, and there, possibly is litigation coming. So it could be a long process.
Man, I wish I could. I wish I could regulate myself, because the first thing I would do is get rid of the rod restrictions, the number of rods I can use as a trolling angler. That would be a great gig, man. God bless them if they can get that.
The important thing to know is that what the judge did was extended the 2000 decree indefinitely. And for folks who recreational anglers, the sport fishing community especially, that's important because that decree was pretty good. It was based on a 50-50 shared allocated fishery. It had penalties. So, it was a good system, and it's kind of the best we have right now. So he extended that indefinitely until a new successor decree is signed.
Oh, see, I think we buried the lead. I didn't even know that, Nick. So thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. That actually is some good news, isn't it?
That is good news. I mean, that means that there's nothing in limbo, nothing in flux.
Okay.
That essentially means that he took the Sioux Tribe motion and said, nah, we're going to extend this indefinitely. It doesn't mean that the Sioux Tribe isn't going to challenge that and take that to court as well.
Yeah.
But it's just going to get worse before it gets better, especially now as they possibly near an end and then the court battles will start.
Well, I listen, I know it's frustrating. I know you folks there in Lansing are pulling your hair out, but I appreciate you, working on this and continuing to keep us updated. Nick, appreciate all the good work out of MUCC, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Mike. I'll be on Saginaw Bay hunting ducks when this airs this weekend. So,
hey, wonderful.
Hopefully I'll have some ducks in the bag. Thanks a lot
wonderful.
for having me.
I will look forward to that conversation and your pictures as well. MUCC.org is the website, MUCC.org, if you want to save 25% on signing up to become an MUCC member first time around. Use the promo code Mike, all caps, and you can do just that. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery question, and it's about the transition from a firearm hunter to a crossbow hunter. We'll talk about that and more coming up in this week's Ask Avery segment right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And you can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM 99.7 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you each week by my friends from Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. The way this segment works, this is your chance to get involved in the content of the show. A question directly for me or for somebody in NRC or DNR or MUCC or something that maybe I can get to that you can't. Best way to get these questions to me, send me an email, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's exactly what Ken Truman did. He sent me an email to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. The crux of the question is, how does an older firearm hunter make the transition to a crossbow hunter out of a ground blind? And I was thinking originally, boy, the timing on this is perfect because as we get out of gun season and move back into the late archery season, this is something that is indeed very timely. Now, however, I suspect Ken might want to take advantage, and I am going to take advantage of these late rifle season opportunities, and I probably will not pick up my crossbow for the rest of the season. I'll wrap the season up with my Brenton 350 Legend. Regardless, though, this is good for this time of year, and also looking forward to next season as we prepare for that. Again, Ken says, my question is this: can you do a show or give some guidance on older hunters getting into crossbow hunting? I can't pull back a 70-pound compound anymore, and I'm certainly not climbing 20 to 25 up a tree to try a saddle hunt. Where do I start? There are so many different choices in crossbows. What's a good middle-of-the-road setup? Preferably a hand crank cocking version, and what kind of ground blind is the best? A lot of great questions there, Ken, and I agree with you. He says, if you go to YouTube, you see these 30-year-old triathletes hunting out of a tree saddle, 30 feet in the air. Well, that's not for me either. Okay, so there are some choices here. If you want a hand-cranking crossbow, one that you can cock by hand, if you do go high-end, of course, there's Raven and the 10 points, but he said he's looking for a middle-of-the-road. I reached out to Dave Thomas at the Bowhunter Planet. Here are his suggestions. He says the Excaliburs are very nice, and they don't have the built-in hand cocking mechanism, but they have a device called the Charger EXT that you can put on and use that. He said, that's a good choice. Killer Instinct, also another good choice, but he says those are made in China. Just be aware of that. I've always liked the dart and crossbows, but unfortunately they don't offer any kind of a built-in hand-cocking system. Okay, so let's talk about blinds. I love hunting on the ground out of a blind, a portable pop-up blind. Nobody has ever fallen out of a blind. They're extremely safe. They hide you somewhat. They protect you from the elements. And to some degree, excuse me, they contain your scent as well. The Primal Wraith 270 is my absolute favorite go-to blind these days. It's very inexpensive. It allows you 270 degrees of visibility. I do like the black panel behind me. I don't like 360 degrees of mesh around me. I do like the black panel behind me. So I love the Primal Wraith. I also think Baronet blinds are a great value. They offer some very good designs at some very, very cheap prices, very inexpensive prices. The thing about ground blind hunting to keep in mind, some things you might want to not think of off the bat. You got to get the right chair. You got to get the right chair. You got to get a chair that's comfortable. Well, for most of us, and for me, I used to hunt what I call a bag chair, and they are extremely comfortable. However, you're not in the best position to shoot. You got to be high enough where you can shoot out of the windows of the blinds. So look for a chair that's comfortable and also lets you sit up high enough you can shoot out of the windows. Keep in mind, too, that when you're hunting in a ground blind, maybe camouflage isn't the best idea. That maybe if you've got a see-through blind that allows some light in there, okay. But what I like to do is I like to black out in a ground blind. I wear a black hoodie. I wear a black hat. And if I'm real serious about it, I darken my face as well. With the see-through blinds, another thing to keep in mind is they're very, very effective. However, if you've got a bright sun coming in at a certain angle, it will light you up and the critters can see you. I routinely throw a big black T-shirt in my backpack, and if I have sunlight coming in, I'll put the black T-shirt up on that side of the blind and block that sunlight. So, Ken, there are some tips right there to get you started. There's a lot more to be in, you can get as in-depth in this as you want, but I think those are some good steps to get you started. I love hunting from a ground blind. I love hunting from a ground blind with a crossbow. I myself am thinking about getting a new crossbow for the next fall season, but I got a lot of time to think about it. And you do as well, Ken Truman. So thanks for sending that question in to me to Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. If you have a question for the Ask Avery segment, if you have a comment, if you have a suggestion, if a reaction to something I've said on the show, that is the email address to use, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And as always, thank you to our friends at Security Credit Union for making each week's Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, hour number 3 with Gabe VanWormer right here on Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Eider Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons and Polar Craft Boats, the Forward Corporation, Primal Tree Stands, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, Brenton USA Hunting Rifles, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Yes, indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. Welcome to the month of December. Where did this year go? It has just flown by. I hope you've had a chance to make the most of it, and I hope you have a chance to really enjoy this month of December. Christmas time coming up real fast now. Advent here. A lot of parties, a lot of celebration, a lot of family time. But I hope also that you can have some time to get out and enjoy what it is that our state offers this time of year. We have I've always said that I've been blessed to live here, and I didn't have any choice in it. I didn't have any choice that I was born here in Michigan, but I could have left. We could have moved somewhere else, but we just never felt the urge. I love this state. I love our outdoor recreational opportunities. Is it the best of all worlds for all seasons? No. But is there any place listen, I've been blessed over my career to go to a lot of very cool places and do a lot of really cool things. And I always have looked forward to getting back home here to Michigan because we have so much to take advantage of, so many hunting and fishing opportunities. Gabe VanWormer is a guy who, in my opinion, makes the most of those activities. He's a hardcore fisherman. He's a hardcore hunter. You know Gabe from his work in the outdoor media. He's a videographer for the Romanax and the Fishing 411 TV show. You've also seen his work on Michigan Out of Doors TV. And I would encourage you, check out his YouTube channel. It's Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube. It's entertaining, it's informative, and it's just a lot of fun. And Gabe is with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Gabe VanWormer, welcome back to the show. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's good to be back, Mike. Great to be back.
So how is your fall going so far?
Man, it's been a whirlwind, like you said. I mean, it just seems to have just passed us by, but it's been a good one. I mean, I just got back yesterday from fishing with the Romanax. We caught a bunch of fish down on Lake Erie for a show down there. I killed a few deer with my longbow. Went to Kansas, had fun out there, and coming back now to do some testing on some new ammo and shoot my handguns and hopefully take a couple does to fill the freezer out and finish out the year.
It never ends with you, Gabe.
No, I try not to let grass grow under my feet. That's for sure.
Hey, listen, speaking of Kansas, I was trying to get you on the show as you were out there, and you said, look, we got our sights and trail cameras on a really big buck. Did you ever have an encounter with him?
We did. We had some really good encounters. Me and my buddy went out there and we only had about 6 days to spend out there, but we had that buck. It was a huge typical, probably, I don't know, maybe 170 class. I'm not sure, but just a giant. And we saw him 4 mornings in a row, but unfortunately he wouldn't come across the property lines. And, when you hunt private or when you hunt public land out there, it is what it is. So you couldn't get him across, and that's what happened.
Were you gun hunting or bow hunting, Gabe?
We were bow hunting. Yeah, we kind of head out there when our gun season starts up here. I'll videotape for the first couple days, and then I'll head out to Kansas and just continue the bow hunting.
If you had your druthers, would you gun hunt or bow hunt?
I would absolutely 100% bow hunt. I love bow hunting. I switched over to a longbow, a traditional bow, about 11 years ago, and I haven't looked back. It's just brought the fun back to hunting again. I like bow hunting as it is, but where the hunt ends with a compound, it begins with a longbow, and getting that deer in really, really close it's a riot to me. I really enjoy that. I do really like my handgun, and it's kind of the same thing that, you're trying to get that deer in close, So that's my preference, though, is I'd definitely rather be bow hunting.
Oh, and I have so much respect for you with the traditional archery gear. I hunted with a recurve for a few years, and like you say, I just absolutely loved it. And during that time, I would talk to you and I would watch your videos and learn as much from you as I could about it. But to be honest with you, Gabe, it got to the point where I knew I just wasn't shooting enough to have the confidence to be proficient to the extent that the animals that I was pursuing deserved it. So I did walk away from it, but I still have a soft spot in my heart and much respect for guys like you who really take it to the next level?
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, and that's the one thing that's nice with my job is, when you're editing in the studio, boy, you could walk right out back and take a few shots and then come right back in and edit again, and got a very flexible schedule that allows me to do a lot of that, and a lot of what I do is I don't necessarily shoot very long distance, so setting up those close range shots, a lot of guys are asking me, how do you hit stuff at 20, 30 yards? I just don't take those shots. And, that's really helped me. I'm not the best shot in the world for sure, but setting up really, really close to them, that's what really helped me out a lot. It's not a ton of skill. It's more in setting up for success and having a lot of time to do it. I'm very fortunate, very blessed to have a lot of time in the woods each year. So
how did you get to where you're at? When you were a kid coming up, you didn't say, hey, I'm going to be Gabe VanWormer, a videographer, YouTuber. I mean, how did this all happen?
Really, I just grew up in a hunting, fishing family here in mid-Michigan. We came from the small town of Perry and just grew up here, hunting and fishing. When we took a trip up to the UP or something, we were always dragging a boat to go fishing, and we were down on Lake Erie all the time, Saginaw Bay, and so when it came to finding a career, I thought maybe I wanted something that would allow me a lot of time to hunt and fish. And so I thought, well, maybe being a teacher, I could be out all summer and fishing at least. So I started to go to school to be a teacher, and I met Jimmy Gretzinger, who's the owner of Michigan Outdoors now, at a buck bowl in Morris, which is right down the road from my hometown. And I said, listen, I'll do whatever you want. I want to get involved with this. That looks like fun. And that's what I've been doing ever since. So they took me under their wing and showed me how to do some editing and put a camera in my hand. And I stopped going to school. It was a lot more fun getting out in the woods and in the field. So, yeah.
Well, your YouTube channel, I think, is just a wonderful example of what you're all about. I love the fact that, it's obvious hunting and fishing related, but you cover a variety of topics, and I find it very interesting.
I just like carrying a camera wherever I go. It's not a real concerted effort to really grow the channel or anything. It's just more of wanting to be able to share it with people. A lot of people don't get to bow hunt like I do, and as much as I get to, or get out on the water or shoot a handgun, or, I just like to show people what's out there, and it's just fun to do that. So I just take a camera with whatever I'm doing. I kind of take a camera with me to throw it online and hope people watch it and enjoy it.
Well, and speaking of handguns, you said part of the appeal there in hunting with a handgun is, again, that up close and personal experience, like with traditional archery gear.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I like a challenge. I've always enjoyed like fly fishing and bow hunting, and handgun hunting is the same way. Last year I picked up a 10 millimeter auto. I've always shot either wheel guns, revolvers, or single action contenders or encores in like 44. I think I have a 357, a 41, a 44, but I've never had an auto. And so last year I picked up an auto because I thought that would be kind of fun to play around with. So I got to play around with that a little bit last year and shot a couple deer with it. And I'm chomping at the bit here to get back out, but this wind today has really got me. I'd rather sit in the studio and edit.
Yeah, well, I was saying the same thing. As we are recording the show today, it is very windy, and I'm glad to be in the studio today, and I'll save my outdoor passions for when it calms down a little bit. But listen, an auto, I'm kind of a handgun guy too, but not more from a concealed carry perspective, not a hunting perspective. And I think of a semi-auto as inherently not going to be as accurate as your revolvers, or does it not matter in your situations, in your hunting situations?
I'm not an expert on it, but I found it. I was kind of surprised when I put a red dot on the top of mine, and I'm able to hit gong targets at like an 8-inch gong target at 75 to 100 yards, no problem. Wow. Which I was really surprised. Yeah. And I had the same questions when I picked it up, because I was thinking, well, here we go. This is probably a 50, 60-yard gun. And I found it to be much more accurate than that, which I've been pleasantly surprised with. Yeah.
We're talking with Gabe VanWormer. You know Gabe, he's all across the outdoor media these days. I would recommend you check out his YouTube channel, Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube, Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube. We've got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, there are just so many things I could talk with Gabe about. You know, his fishing, his hunting, and we'll do that. We'll see how we can glean some information from his years of experience in the outdoors. Just a real quick reminder, too. If you want to get in on the last Wednesday Night Live at Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse at Dixie Dave's before he retires, it's Wednesday, December 7th. Call for reservations, 989-624-9349. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Ludington on News 97, 98, 98.7 WLDN. You can hear us in Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM. And north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Boning Archery. Michigan-based Boning has been a leader in the archery industry since 1946. Think about that. That's more than, three-quarters of a century? That's very, very impressive. The fact that they're based here in Michigan is also very cool. They first came into the archery world with a product called Ferrotite to glue broadheads to what at the time were wood arrow shafts. These days, Boning continues to innovate, come up with new products, new manufacturing processes to make those products better for both bow hunters and target archers. If you are a bow hunter, I really bet you've got some kind of a Boning product on your setup. And if you don't, I would encourage you to check them out and give them a look. The website is boning.com. That's BOHNING, boning.com, a great Michigan company, and you know I love that. I love, the Michigan connection. Gabe VanWormer is, to me, he's a Michigan guy. Gabe, I mean, you grew up in Michigan. You've made your career in the Michigan outdoors. Do you share this mindset, I think, that I have?
Absolutely. There's no place better to live, man. I mean, you can be an hour and you can be in a boat catching walleyes. You can be the hour the other way and catch some salmon, and you can bow hunt, and I mean everything's here. We might not have the best of everything, but a lot of it is darn good. That's for sure. Yeah. I love Michigan.
Tell me about, and listen, I don't want to take any of the thunder away from the Romanex TV show coming up, but tell me a little bit about this trip down on Lake Erie.
Yeah, we were down there catching those big fall walleyes, the fall into winter walleyes, cold water, and really nice fish. And we were using their new crankbait, the Precise Walleye Crank, which will be out here soon, probably in the next few months, maybe in the spring or something, and just pounding on the walleye yesterday. I mean, we caught them up to 7-8 pounders, so it was a lot of fun. It was great. Those walleyes are on the chew right now, and that's what you love.
Yeah, we had Mark Romanek on the show here a few weeks ago talking about that new crankbait. I can't wait to get my hands on that, because if it's a bait designed by master troller Mark Romanek, it's going to be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait, too. I mean, I'm excited for it. Get something new in your hands. It's always fun testing new products, that's for sure.
Well, and you said you were testing some new ammo. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I actually, talking about Michigan-made stuff, I'm using a Bear Creek Ballistics has been doing custom rifles for many years, and they've been putting out some of this new ammo for the 350 Legend. And last year I got to test some 160 grain super high velocity ammo. It was shooting 2,525 feet per second, and which is real fast, so with an all copper bullet. And I took an elk last year and several deer with a 350 Legend, which a lot of guys think is a little anemic for deer for some reason. I'm not sure why, but we were testing out that last year, and they were testing out 140 grain bullet that's traveling at like 2,650 feet per second, which is the same as a 6.5 Creedmoor with the same grain bullet. So it's traveling very, very fast, and we're getting ready to do some more testing on that. My son took a really nice buck with it earlier this year, took a nice doe with it. So we've got some more testing to do and some more freezer to be filled. So we're going to be doing that.
I'm fairly new to the 350. I really like it so far. I get it for whitetails. My grandson took a big doe with it. I haven't had a chance to have any success with it yet, but there's still a lot of season coming up. But you mentioned elk. I would think that's a little small for an elk.
You would think so, but 160 grain bullet is not necessarily small for an elk. So if you're shooting the proper bullet, an all copper bullet that's going to expand real well, have good penetration. The bullet I recovered from that elk, dropped it right in its tracks. And the bullet that I recovered from that elk was it looked like a advertisement for bullets, the perfect mushroom and everything. So, 160 grain bullet traveling at 2,500 feet per second does a lot of damage. So it really, guys get in their, I think we in our mindset of slug guns here in southern Michigan, for many years we had to use these big slug guns, big bullets, they really put a hurting on the animal. And so when we switched over to these straight-walled cartridges, a lot of us, the 450 Bushmaster is obviously very, very popular and a great, great hunting round. But I really like the surgical nature of the 350 Legend. It has a lot less kick. I can put it in the hands of my kids. I can hunt with it. And then with newer, higher velocity ammo, I'm talking, 14-inch drop at 300 yards. This stuff is really hot, and it's shooting very, very straight and not much drop to it. So it's taken a 350 and made it good for the whole family. You can hand it to your kids, and you can shoot it yourself, and you don't necessarily have to have a bunch of different rifles for it.
So is this ammo on the market yet, or you're still field testing it?
We're still field testing. They've got stuff out right now that's in the 160 grain category that we've been shooting for a couple of years now. That they're kind of a small shop down there near Battle Creek, Kalamazoo area, and I don't know if they can keep up with the amount of ammo. They're making ammo as fast as they can make it,
Sure.
Which everybody is right now. And so it is not on the market yet. The 140 grain high velocity stuff isn't on the market yet, but it probably will be next year. So.
All right. Well,
yeah,
I appreciate the info there, and I'm sure they appreciate the plug.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, anytime we can promote Michigan-based companies, I am all for it.
I love it.
How important is the choice of ammo in handgun hunting?
Well, it's quite important, especially when you get into the small calibers. I started out with a 357 Magnum, and guys were telling me to shoot a solid lead, 180 grain solid lead cast core bullet. Other guys were telling me 158 grain hollow point. And I found that, man, if you don't find a good bullet that expands well, it really is not a great cartridge to be shooting deer with. I shot a really nice buck years ago, and it ran over under the neighbors, and luckily we have good reputation, or we have a good relationship with the neighbor, so he was able to tell me where that deer fell. But I didn't have much of a blood trail, and it was due to the poor bullet choice. I was being told by a lot of different people a lot of different things, and I've come to the realization that if you don't shoot something that expands well out of a handgun, it can be a challenge to find a deer after you shoot it. So I like something that expands well. It's got to do that under slower velocities. When you're shooting, say, a 10 millimeter or something, you're not shooting extreme velocities. So you really got to be careful in your bullet selection and really do your homework in finding the right bullet for the right gun.
So what is your preferred caliber for handgun hunting for Michigan whitetails?
I'm a 44 guy myself. I really like a revolver. I just like the handling of it. I think they're cool. they're just fun to carry in the field. And a 44 Magnum is just kind of the easy gun. It's just a great shooting gun in a big hunting handgun. It doesn't kick too bad. And it has all the knockdown power you'd ever want. It'll expand a good bullet very well. I shoot usually a 225 grain Hornady bullet or a 240 grain Hornady bullet. They're just off the shelf, easy to find bullets and cartridges. And they seem to do really well with deer-sized game in Michigan.
So do you have a scope on that or a red dot?
You know, on some of my guns, I have red dots, and some I have scopes. I'm not real steady. I'm kind of a shaky guy, so I'm probably not going to be taking a 100-yard shot or longer with my handgun. But I know I have some buddies that really are good at this, and they all have scopes on their longer range stuff. But yeah, for anything that's 75 yards and in, red dot will do you just fine. Even 100 yards, if you turn that scope, that red dot right down to maybe a tiny little dot, you can really get on a deer out to probably about 100 yards.
All right, a stupid question here. I've never shot a handgun with a scope on it. Because of the eye relief, because of the extra distance from the scope, do you have to have a special handgun scope to do that then?
Yeah, yep, that's a great question. You have to have an extended eye relief scope. You could get away with a scout scope maybe on a big handgun. I have some friends that shoot like 350s or 450s in a handgun with a big break on them and stuff, and they have just like a scout scope, which will give you kind of that medium eye relief. But if you're shooting like a 44 revolver or anything like that, and you're shooting a scope, you're going to have something that you have to extend your arms out almost all the way to get in that scope the right way. And it can be a challenge. I sit around my house with an unloaded gun, watching the game on Sunday or something, and I'll just pick out spots on the wall and just practice target acquisition, because trying to get in a 2-power or a 4-power scope quickly when you're in the woods can be a real challenge. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do and to hold it steady. So practicing is a big deal when it comes to handgun hunting, just like it is with bow hunting.
So are you holding these guns freehand, offhand, or are you always using shooting sticks?
As much as possible, I try to put, if I'm facing the tree, a lot of times I'll put a tree step in the tree and rest off on that. Or, I'll grab the tree with my hand and rest on my hand. But there's times when, deer come in on the wrong side and you just have to freehand it. And then it becomes can I hold it steady enough in this cold weather, like what we're having right now? Your hands start going numb, you start getting shaky, and then your range really shrinks that way. So it really depends on, I would rather rest off anytime I could, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and so what is your effective range with that 44 then, average hunting conditions?
If I'm shooting my single shot or my revolvers, I really can put it in a paper plate at 100 yards under ideal conditions.
Wow.
That's
very impressive, Gabe.
Well, I mean, it's really rested well. I mean, it's more the gun than me. But if you have a good trigger pull, I mean, out to 120, 125 yards with a 44, it'll do it as long as you can be steady enough. And, under certain circumstances, I've done it before, but there's times when, like, just sitting in an open stand and free-handed it, it's not going to happen.
Gabe, I always enjoy our conversations. I've got to let you go, though. I would encourage people to check out the YouTube channel, Full Quiver Outdoors, and I look forward to our conversations in the future.
Thank you very much, Mike. Great being on the show.
Always a pleasure. Gabe VanWormer, check him out on YouTube at Full Quiver Outdoors. Check out his video on the Fishing 411 TV show, and also you'll see him on Michigan Outdoors TV as well. We'll take a break. Lots more coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in the Thumb in Sandusky on WMIC, 660 AM, 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Manistee on WMLQ, 97.7 FM. And you can hear us in Saginaw on WSGW AM and FM, 790 AM, 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now to record this week's show. I'm actually in the studio of Pat Johnston. If you have heard WSGW, you have heard Pat Johnston. He's like the sports guru extraordinary. He's my guy when I have questions about University of Michigan, U of M football. I go to Pat because this guy he lives this stuff, and he knows all about it. And he's a wonderful partner here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show, Pat. I appreciate that very much. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. Let Reader create an outdoor getaway in your backyard and let them maintain that outdoor getaway as well. Probably right now, that maintenance is going to come in the form of, more likely than not, snow removal, because Reader can take care of that as well. And just jumping past this whole wintertime season, it's not too early to start planning your springtime projects with the folks at Reader either. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. I have really enjoyed the conversations on this week's show. I mean, I'd like to say that I enjoy every show, and I do, but I don't know, something about this one has just really been a lot of fun. And it is a real pleasure and a blessing for me to be able to sit here for 3 hours every week talking about the great outdoors. And I think Gabe VanWormer, I think he and I share a lot of the same beliefs and a lot of the same background, in the fact that we've both been able to make a living doing something that we absolutely love, and doing it here in the great state of Michigan. Now, his expertise is way, way beyond mine. When you look at his traditional archery skills and his handgun hunting skills and his walleye fishing skills, I mean, this guy's got it dialed in. But the fact that he is so good at sharing those adventures online and, you know, through TV and using video is just very, very impressive. So again, check out his YouTube channel, Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube. That's Full Quiver Outdoors on YouTube. What else is on my mind? Well, it is the month of December. Happy December to you. Help me come up with a name, right? If October is called Rocktober and November is called Rutvember, what is December called? Because by the time, if you're a deer hunter, by the time we get to December, it's pretty much a grind, right? Because these deer now have been hunted since mid-September. It can get pretty tough right now. I guess the only thing going in your favor if you've got some food sources, some food plots. But I'll tell you what, we did everything right on our lease property. And, you know, we did like you're supposed to, and we put in some food plots. But I'm just not seeing any daytime activity, or very, very little daytime activity on those food plots right now. Now, hopefully, as we get into the month of December, further into the month of December, and the weather turns a little nastier, you know, maybe I can hold up in one of those old ground blinds with a heater in front of me and just wait them out and see if they get hungry and come into the food plots. I am very, very excited about the opportunity to continue to hunt where I am in the central part of the state, the county that we're hunting in fact, it's Midland County. I can use a centerfire rifle right on through the muzzleloader season. It's not really a muzzleloader season for a lot of people in the state anymore, at least the southern part of the state. It's just an extension of the firearm deer season. And then you add the late doe season in there too, where you can use a centerfire rifle. It's like a 5-week long deer season, gun season. And the folks in the DNR are being very, very straightforward, very open about this, why they're doing this. They want hunters to kill more deer. Now, there is a certain percentage of people in Michigan, especially Michigan hunters, who say that the DNR's unspoken goal is to wipe out the deer herd. I don't buy into that. They say the DNR is in cahoots with the insurance companies and they want all the deer gone. I think if you actually look at that from a few different angles, that just doesn't make any sense. Why would a department who gets a lot of its funding from the sale of licenses want to wipe out the resource that generates that income? I don't get it. Or maybe I'm just not smart enough to figure out all that behind the scenes stuff, but I don't buy into it. I don't get it. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Do not hesitate to reach out to me. Send me your pictures of your hunting and fishing trips, questions, comments, questions for the Ask Avery segment as well. And again, once more, Wednesday Night Live, 7 o'clock every Wednesday night. We're doing a Ham for the Holidays giveaway right on through the first of the year. Thank you to the Grillo family of Michigan brand meats. All you have to do is tune in to try to win a Michigan brand ham. And this Wednesday coming up, December 7th, we're doing our final Wednesday Night Live blowout at Dixie Dave's Restaurant, Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse in Birch Run. Call 989-624-9349 for reservations. You don't have to have tickets. It won't cost you anything to get in the door. We'll have some nice, fun giveaways. And you can be a part of a last big online live blowout send-off for Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. Make your reservations for 6:15-ish, 6:30-ish. 989-624-9349. We'll talk more with Dixie Dave about this event coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. My name is Mike Avery. So glad to have you along with us. And for, I don't know, more than, probably a quarter of a century? Gosh. I have worked with Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner. We continue that relationship now on the radio. David, has it been that long? Has it been 25 years?
Oh. I think, when did we start? 89? Was that the first show that I did with the stuffed goose?
99, 2000. Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has, I know it.
It's been a long time.
But it's been very enjoyable, Mike. I'm glad for you to have such a following. It's amazing. And the people come in the restaurant from all over the state, shopping in Plymouth and what have you. Everybody tells me how much they love your show and they miss the TV show.
Well, I appreciate people saying that, but I'm sure glad to have the TV show gone. And as we are recording the show right now, Dave, the radio show, do you have any openings for the big Wednesday Night Live?
Yes, we do. We're at about 78 or 79 people. Okay. We just at 100, so we're going there, and we're not going to allow any walk-ins like from the public. We might be able to handle a couple, one or two or so, if they mention the radio show. So
okay.
I have to play that by ear.
All right,
hurry up and get your reservations in.
Yeah, get your reservations in. We're definitely going to sell out 989-624-9349. David, I don't know if we can get a recipe in. Your cell's a little bit screwy. What do you got in mind for us this week?
Well, I got a really great recipe, and if the reception is that bad,
no, actually, you're good now. You're good now. You're good now.
I've got a holiday roast venison, and I did this for our family one year, and people just raved about it. So you're going to use the top round of venison, fully trimmed. Get a silver sinew off in it. And about a 3 to 5 pounder would be okay. Or if you only want to use about a half, that would be fine too. So what we're going to do is inject this the apple and raspberry schnapps. So you're going to get an injection. You can buy them at most places like Myers would have, or you can actually go to the pharmacy and get some larger needle, get one larger needle, like a syringe. And Kroger's, they have a nice selection of the restaurant stuff. So you need nice rainfall. The garlic is fine, raspberry schnapps, apple schnapps, it's red schnapps, it's called. Some cards. Get some fresh red rosemary.
David, I think, listen, buddy, we're going to let you go. Yeah, we're going to let you go. You're breaking up just bad enough where I think it's driving people crazy, but I appreciate your time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Hey, don't worry about it. And I'll look forward to seeing you Wednesday night at Wednesday Night Live.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it.
It must be the wind. I don't know.
The wind is blowing the cell signal away. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dixie Dave Miner, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as he was for many, many years, the Outdoor Magazine TV show as well. That's all right. It gives me another opportunity here to plug one last time, the big Wednesday Night Live. Now, I have been doing this thing called Wednesday Night Live on my social media outlets for I think 5 or 6 years now, or maybe even longer. And it's not a real original title, right? It's where the term Wednesday Night Live is kind of I stole it from Saturday Night Live, but we do it Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And this is something we do year round. We've done it for years. Sometimes I do it from my home office, my studio at the house. Sometimes we take them out in the field. We really scaled back the in-field Wednesday Night Lives during the whole COVID situation, but that's gone. We can get back out. Because of the COVID situation, though, we have not done a Wednesday Night Live at Oscar and Joey's for a few years now. People have been asking for it. People have been saying, when can we do it? And now that Chef Dixie Dave Miner is retiring after the first of the year, this is a wonderful opportunity, but our last opportunity to do an in-person live in the restaurant, Wednesday Night Live. And this is coming up Wednesday night, December 7th at 7 o'clock on my social media outlets. We will sell this out, but we would love to have you join us. If you would like to be there, you'll need reservations. It's a free event, but of course you will have to buy your dinner from Chef Dixie Dave Miner, which is only fair. 989-624-9349 or Google Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse or Google Dixie Dave Miner. It's in Birch Run, just off I-75. We will have people from Angler Quest there. Brad Dupuis will be there. I think Bob Ransom of Primal Outdoors is going to be there. Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand Meats is going to be there. We've got the Brenton USA hunting rifle people there as well, and we'd love to have you there for a great meal, a great send-off party for Dixie Dave, and also we're going to have some pretty good giveaways as well. I know one of the things we're giving away is a Primal 270 see-through ground blind from Primal Outdoors, formerly called Primal Tree Stands, but that's a whole nother story. That's a topic for another discussion. I think that's going to wrap it up. My name is Mike Avery. This show is called Outdoor Magazine. My website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Again, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Use that email address. Send me your pictures. Send me your comments, your questions, your criticisms, your questions for the Ask Avery segment. Things you like about the show, things you don't like about the show, maybe somebody you want to hear, maybe somebody you want to you're sick of. Maybe you're sick of hearing from me. Let me know. The email address is mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My name is Mike Avery, and I appreciate you joining us this week right here on Outdoor Magazine.